What's going on, people? Joey Tongue's boxing. Damian Flores asked me to make a video. He said he got into an argument with your brother about how, what do you say, Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis can move up to heavyweight or something like that, and that size doesn't matter. No, there's a reason there are weight classes, and the reason is because at a certain point, the guys who are smaller can't hurt the guys who are bigger, and the guys who are bigger will be able to easily hurt the guys who are smaller. Now, people are going to bring up heavyweight. Well, what do you mean? Usyk just beat Fury. And, Dubois beat Gerald Miller, who's almost 100 pounds bigger than him. When you get to a certain weight matters less. That's why when you go up each weight class, the separation from each weight class in pounds is more. For example, the separation between middleweight and super middleweight is 8 pounds, and the difference between middleweight and heavyweight is 7 pounds. But then when you go to those smaller weight classes, it's only 2 or 3 pounds each. Flyweight and bantamweight, like those ones are like 2, 3. They're much smaller because it's about the percentage of weight relative to your body. Also, at the heavyweight division, they have a deficiency in gas tank. So a guy like Usyk, he can take advantage of Tyson Fury's lack of gas tank and win a heavyweight fight like that. So if, let's say, we took Inoue and we put him in there with David Benavidez doesn't have this lack of gas tank where he can't go for 12 rounds. So it wouldn't be a problem. And Inoue will almost certainly not be able to handle David Benavidez's power and skill, is good enough, Benavidez, where he can win. A bigger guy should always be the smaller guy. In basketball, Isaiah Thomas, point guard for the Detroit Pistons, he once said something that really struck me. He said, bigger players should always be better than the smaller players. And this is coming from him, who's a much smaller player. The only reason why smaller players are better than bigger players is because the bigger player has a deficiency. If the bigger player doesn't have a deficiency, the smaller guy will never be better than the bigger player. So it's the same thing with this. The bigger Fury and Joshua, they have a deficiency in gas tank. So Usyk can exploit that. Guys like David Benavidez and guys like that, Canelo, they don't have this major deficiency to the same extent. So, yeah, you're going to be able to, if you put Canelo in there with a guy like Tank Davis, it's not going to be competitive, because Canelo's still super skilled, has the work rate good enough, has the power, which I'm not sure Tank can handle. I don't see any way where he would be able to win. The higher up in weight you go, the less weight matters, and the skill gets worse, usually, when it comes to these bigger guys. So they have a deficiency. That's why a guy like Evander Holyfield could beat Valuev. Chris Bird can move up and beat, these big, heavyweights. It's not, a guy like David Haye could beat Valuev because he has a deficiency. You're going to have to find a major deficiency. And also they're going to have to be able to handle the power. Chin is not proportionate, meaning a 140-pounder versus a 140-pounder. A 140-pounder could take a 140-pounder's punch better than a 240-pounder could take a 240-pounder's punch. So, yeah, it's different. When you get to the body, it's completely different. And it's like that, by the way, with everything. When it comes to age, it's like that too. The difference between a 6th grader and a 4th grader is greater than from an 8th grader to a 6th grader, or from a 10th grader to an 8th grader, from a 28-year-old to a 26-year-old. The older you get, the less the age difference matters, for the older guy to be better than the younger guy. Whereas when you're little, an 8-year-old is going to destroy a 6-year-old, because you're still developing. So that's just how it is. It's not as simple as just math. It's a science. It's not numbers and weight and age. It's more to it than that. So to answer your question, Mr. Flores, no. Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia cannot beat Mike Tyson and Mike Tyson's prime, if that's what he was trying to say. No freaking way. There's no light heavyweight that could beat him in his prime. Now, Holyfield and Usyk, cruiserweights, obviously Holyfield beat him twice. But, and Usyk, we could talk about that because they have enough size where they could get into the door. But, yeah, it's I know it's kind of funny coming off my last video where I said size is overrated. It's overrated, but let's not get carried away. It's still significant. You know, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Peace.